are a veteran activist, and as you have mentioned, have been doing this work for a very long time. I was wondering if you might be able to tell us a little bit about how you've seen Black trans activism change over the course of your political involvement.
How have I seen Black trans activists change over the course of the year? I actually feel like I have, for me, like I have sent messages mentally or through the universe, and the people that I've linked with when I was doing on-hands activism work, and seeing the individuals now doing that, I'm so proud to actually see them doing this activism work, and they have changed rapidly, because before you never really saw too many people of color, trans folks on the City Hall steps. It would be always other individuals, and it would be always a mixture, and then it's something to fight for trans folk. It used to be like an L and G and a D and all this kind of mixture going on, and you never used to really see. The powerful thing that I'm seeing now is the people of color, trans women. They are actually kicking the doors down. It doesn't matter where, they're not scared. They're just like so powerful and saying, I'm in your face. They telling the mirror, look, I'm here. They're telling the governor, I'm here. We need this. They're not saying, ho, ho, I can't go, I need hormones. They're not saying that. They're talking about human rights and civil rights. So this is really awesome. This is something that I'm like, oh my goodness, is this really happening? Because I didn't expect it to be happening. And look, I'm getting goosebumps. It's like, back then, I thought I was the only one saying, oh, but we need this and we need that and we need that. And look, where's my visibility of my trans guys? Y'all better come out here. I'm going to get y'all. And I will pull them out one by one. So it have changed so rapidly. And I am really proud to see what it is. And I have felt that like 4 years to continue raising, being with my family and raising my daughter and stuff like that. And I decided, like coming back in 2014, okay, come right back up, because I see individuals like Lourdes and Kiera and Madison, and they have formulated this whole unity thing, and they're doing that, and I'm like, wow, these are the same people that I sat at tables with, break bread with, and all this. So I'm here to actually support them and give back and assist them, whatever they need. And I'm like, you know, I did my time, and I'm not here to take theirs away from them, but I'm here to walk with them, not lead them, because I've seen the leadership trickle down, and that's awesome, because back in the days it was like, okay, tonight we have Kim Watson. Oh, tomorrow evening we have Kim Watson. Oh, where's Kim Watson? Oh, where's Tracy Bumpus? May she rest in peace. Where's Arlene Hoffman? But now I am seeing Lourdes and Kiera and Madison and Sky and Tanya Walker, and I can go on and on and on, and it amazed me. So that's what's changing today. The youth, Daniella, this is amazing. The youth is saying, okay, let's stand up for ourselves. Forget about what y'all are talking about. Transitioning and hormones will come, and you know that's essential. But let's get some human rights and civil rights. Stop catering to the Caucasian, no disrespect to anybody, but stop catering to something. Stop being overshadowed by the slavery that been happening years ago, and let's try to demolish this continuously, and not back in 1627, but let's demolish it now and fight for our rights.
Daniella, what makes you a leader, and how can we develop more leaders?
What makes me a leader, I guess, is when I take a part in these events and I look around and I notice that I'm hearing stories of something I maybe would never relate to, something I could never experience the way they did, right? Like back when trans women, if they were police right? But the police would harass them. They would have to have some form of male clothing, you know, underneath their clothes. Hearing that in the Stonewall Rebellion, they were out there fighting and things like that, right? So it makes me realize that, did I want to wait until I got to a certain age, or wait to a certain time when society says it's okay to stand up for injustice, or when because maybe my family do or don't accept me, or maybe people on the street don't, but is that my place for that? No. And I guess seeing the impact that I have when I talk to people, right? Like when I sit down with people my age and they say, wow, you really inspired me. You know, and telling them that it's not my inspiration, it's just hope that we all can do it. You know, and just seeing so many people say, well, if you do something, and seeing the adults, you know, like as I struggle to become a leader, seeing them hold on to me and say, you know, this is the way, teaching me organizational structure, sorry. Yeah. And, you know, like helping me become a part of an organization trans exclusive, right? Like, to me, it's like when I go to college and I sit in class, I think of those women who did it before me. You know, and I think of taking these self-initiatives to show that the people who's doing the work, that there's someone younger than them that's not saying, give me all the work, but I'm willing to hold your hand, a part of this work, you know? And then, you know, I don't know, I feel we can't always talk on the statistics of someone and not have that visibility of that number, right? You know, because at the end of the day, whether I live to be happy or I live to be sad, I'm gonna live for freedom. And I'm living for freedom for everyone, you know, because they take our lives for injustice, so why not build justice, you know? And with my sisters, I'm building that, you know, sitting here, having this visibility is justice, you know, so I'm just proud of that.
Miss Phoenix, what's one thing that you would tell Black TGNC youth, and one thing you would tell elders?
The one thing I think I would tell transgender non-conforming youth is don't give up. There's hope around that rainbow, and there's hope beyond that scope that you think you're trapped in. With young ladies like Miss Daniella here leading the way, after I finally closed my eyes, I know y'all will be in good hands. I know y'all will be in good hands. I am sitting here enthralled by this young lady. I never thought I would see the day somebody would be that articulate, this young. I'm proud to call you my sister. I am very proud to call you my sister. I thought most leaders had died or died off, but there's still hope around that corner. As far as the elders go, y'all have done a good job, and y'all continue to do a good job. Y'all have created young ladies like this young lady, like this young man, and like this young lady. Y'all have created them.
I wasn't ready to be emotional.
Y'all have led the way in so many ways in creating these young ladies, and I'm so, so proud of those that are still left of us, those that have not died off, those that are still here. I'm so, so proud, because back in my day, there was only three things. There was a butch queen, there was a femme queen, and there was a drag queen. That was back in my day. And I'm quite sure a few of you don't even know what the hell I'm talking about. A femme queen was considered a feminine man. That's what a femme queen was. It's changed since my day. A femme queen is not considered a transgender female or someone that's feminine and living their life as a transgender individual or person. Drag queen was somebody that got dressed up in feminine clothes and did shows, but it was still, it's still considered a transgender female. These acronyms are new. These are all new. They weren't back in my time. These are all brand new acronyms. I'm glad more trans men are visible now than they were back in the day, and I'm proud of my brothers as well. But as I said, the one thing I would tell LGBTQ, not just trans, but all LGBTQ youth, is that there's more options out there than you believe that are available. There's more out there than sex work. There's more out there than body work. Because once you get stuck with that body, baby, you have to live in that body. Your options become very limited. So as far as choosing to get, instead of developing naturally, Like one of my sisters, I'm not sure, Letitia, where are you? Put your hand up. Letitia, are you still here?
She done disappeared.
All right.
MIA.
She told me, I fell out when she said it. She said, I said it 1 minute. She told me she's going to have her breast done. Fine. You're going somewhere professional to have your breast done. That's wonderful. But she said she wanted my breasts. I said, these are all hormones. She said, I can tell. I said, okay, but it took time. You can't get instantaneous satisfaction with your body. It doesn't work. Silicone moves around in the body. It causes cancer. It melts to your bones. Once you have that in you, the scar that's after it, if they try to remove it, is horrible. They have to scrape it out of you. And that's not a pretty thing to do. So I said, take your time. Take your time. Get out there and work. If you can get a job, like this young lady's in college. Back in my day, nobody was in college. I graduated college at 18 years old. 4-year degree at 18 years old. Skipped a few grades. So to hear this young lady here, you're in college, you better go, bitch. You better go and go some more. When I close my eyes, you keep the fight going, okay? You keep the fight going. Do not give up and guide the rest of these young ladies in the right direction, okay? Make that promise to me. I promise. All right, I'm good now.
Sasha, as someone who lives outside the binary in different ways, what's it like to be a GNC Black person?
I mean, it's interesting because Julian asked us to think of some questions that we felt like we weren't asked often, I guess, in spaces. And I feel like something that's so important to me as a trans person is self-determination and self-actualization, and not feeling that my journey or who I am as a trans person has to look like anybody else's, or should even replicate any of the oppressive things that we were taught or as part of being a man or a woman. And so I think part of why I put that out there is because as we are and become who we are and have always been, that I find it so important to not feel like that has to be in the same language as our oppressors, and that it is so important as trans people to hold on to, if we want to, in whatever way, our multiplicity and our identities, and to not make it seem like the world is just male and female, and that that's all it's made up of, and that there are many of us that live at the intersection of those places and find a lot of power there. And I think for me, one place I find power is, like, I do a lot of healing work and spiritual work with queer women and trans folks of color around ceremonies, sweat lodges, and healing. And a lot of those spaces are very binary spaces where to receive healing and in ceremony, women or men were expected to do that very different ways. And so one thing that I feel like as a unbinary trans person and a healer is I find it to be a responsibility to create spaces like that for trans folks and other folks alike, to understand that their gender is not determined by anybody else's and shouldn't replicate any of those pieces. So I feel like the healing work is a really important part of being an unbinary person and being out and living my life that way and being vocal about that, because a lot of people, I think, want me to play a certain role of masculinity, or as a man, as any person with a gender is expected to do. And I think for me, I find a lot of power in pushing back against that in my work that I do. Whether as a media maker or as a healer, or just sitting up here with y'all today.
Lourdes, how can someone be an effective ally and help people be better people?
Well, I just want to take a moment and just love all up on Daniella right now, because, you know, the youth are our future, and that's just important to me. And I'm an ally to young people, because I remember when I was 21 years old, there was no such thing that's happening in this room. There was no such thing as Trans Women of Color Collective or organizations like that empower trans women, that help trans women live authentically in their truth. And I know as I move forward in my life, I always want to be that ally, be that person, be that mentor that I never had. And it's just amazing, just in this very brief time that I've known this young woman, and just seeing her transition and transform into who she is today and just being a part of that journey. I just want to thank you for allowing me to be a part of that journey with you as you grow and develop. Someone is holding you accountable. The only thing that you can do is sit back and listen. That's the best thing that you can do, because you further oppress a person when you begin to justify your position. You have no position. You know, your position right now is oppressing me. And so it's great to be able to understand that when someone says to you that you're being oppressive, to like really take that into consideration and think about that. Even in my own, you know, even trans people can oppress other trans people. So, and we must hold ourselves accountable. And I encourage everybody, even my sisters and brothers, to hold me accountable. And you have to always be checking yourself. And it's not privilege, because if you're not white, you have no privilege. We have been given concessions. Education is a concession. A job is a concession. An apartment is a concession. And we must understand that these are not privileges, and you're not privileged. And I think it's important that we understand that we can be allies to each other in so many ways. You know, I talk about being visible and living unapologetically in your truth. It's not so much about being out. You know, there's many ways to be supportive. You know, you can call out oppression, that's being supportive. You know, you can write a check, that's being supportive. You can never speak for a trans person, ever. You can speak out against oppression, you can fight for liberation, but you can never speak for a trans person. And that's something that's really important in terms of being an effective ally and helping people be better people.
So this is the portion of the panel that I was actually most excited about, where each of you gets to ask somebody else in the panel a question. So it can be one that that we discussed previously, or if something came up tonight that you're interested in. If you want to start, Ms. Kim.
See, one of my questions, my second question was what Lourdes just spoke about allies, and it was how effective of an ally to you, and what she basically answered everything basically.
Me too.
That was one of the questions that my second question to the person, to one of the panel, how effective is a quote-unquote ally to you? And they could all answer it, because for me, I don't want to be like really, okay, let me be true in my game. I don't really like allies to take my platform. An ally is to sit behind me and support me. An ally is not to be standing next to me on the podium and trying to fight for what I'm fighting for. When I say that, when I speak, an ally is supposed to support me. Support me 110%. That's an ally. Do not try to find out if I had surgeries, what's between my legs, or anything of those. You're not supposed to ask me those questions, period. You're an ally to support me in civil rights and human rights, and push me through the door, and you come along with me and stick to be my ally. I'm my biggest supporter. And as soon as you start to get too personal and try to ask me a lot of things about this trans thing or affirmed thing or what gender you was born and all that, that's not an ally. That's a malicious individual. So that was, you answered everything, Lourdes. Because I had this question last night also at Columbia. So, yeah.
So I answered the question that you were going to ask.
So you was going to ask the question too.
I didn't pick no one, but did she answer it? What's the sense of picking another person?
Because they might have a different viewpoint.
Oh, okay. Well,
don't pick me.
Well, Alex Trebek from 1,000 Words, Phoenix. How effective of an ally is to you?
Well, I slightly disagree with your interpretation of what an ally is. I slightly disagree. I believe that we should walk hand in hand because we're equal in God's eyes as far as everybody goes. We're equal in every facet, form. and facet there is. The only thing I pretty much agree with you on is that, no, you don't have a right to know about my personal being, because this is my personal being. What I have between my legs is nobody's business but me and the man I might be in bed with.
That's her, baby.
It's been years, but it may possibly happen soon. I see an ally as someone that shares my belief on how a human being should basically be treated. Because regardless of what we're trans experience, gay, lesbian, want to be referred to as them, they, whoever, you're still a human being. We still walk hand in hand. We're all struggling. We were considered minorities, now the majority. Let's make them scared a little bit. Let's scare them a little bit. We outnumber them now. And there's power in numbers, baby. So I see allies throughout this room. There are people in here who are not of trans experience. And I appreciate you being here. This is a packed room. And I'm very, very happy we pulled the best organizer we could have gotten for Glow into this room. I am so glad we got it. He pulled this together like that. He's done more than I thought he was going to do. And I was part of the hiring committee that hired him. And I pretty much eliminated everybody else but him. I made sure of it. And I'm so glad for one more time in my life I made a correct decision in fighting and making sure he got this position. I am so grateful for you being here. You don't know, you pulled a very powerful panel together. I'm sitting here feeling minute in a way because these women over here are something else, and this gentleman here, he's sexy as hell. He just sitting there like around these beautiful women. What the hell? I'm like, all right, I'm feeling good right about right now. But I slightly disagree with you, like I said, your interpretation of what a ally would be, although we do have common grounds to stand on when it does come to an ally. I want some behind me, I want some in front of me to help protect me from all the harassment, the harsh treatment, the oppression, all that stuff that's sitting there in our face. Yes, stand in front of me. You take some of that for me, please. You get up there and fight. Pull the signs out. Get them marching. Yes, I want you right beside me so they know I'm not alone in this fight. There are people who would consider themselves cis, heterosexuals, whatever the case would be, that says what you're doing to these people is oppressive and it's wrong. It's fundamentally wrong. Give them the same rights that you feel I'm entitled to. Yes, we are the 1%, God damn it, but it takes that 1% to make 100. Okay, and though we may be that 1% poor, living impoverished at times, and struggling to survive, to feed ourselves, to pay our rent, to do whatever we're going to do, they're right there with us going through the same bullshit. So no, you're not behind me in any way, fashion, or form. You're walking right there beside me. Just as if you were living in my experience, although you're not sharing my experience, because like I said, I'm going to get me a man sooner or later. But you're there with me. You're showing me that regardless of what, you're there with me. And that makes me feel good. Do you agree with that? All right.
I agree with both of them. You know, the role of an ally, you know what I'm saying, is expensive. There's many things that allies can do. You know, there's a time and place for everything. Absolutely. When we're protesting at the police station, yes, I need all my allies to be up in front because I'm not going to jail. It don't work that way. It's set up. It won't be pretty for me in jail. So, yes, so you're absolutely right. When it's time to go to these places where my voice can be heard, you know, or where I'm going to be triggered, you're absolutely right. Ally, get your ass up there and do what you're here to do. When it's time to write those checks, because I'm oppressed and I'm underemployed and I'm underhoused, yes, you have that money, write those checks. You know, allies can organize each other, and that's important. I don't need an ally asking me about my life. I agree with Kim. Allies need to go pick up a book, watch a movie. They need to do some research, just like we research on everything else and how we maneuver systems. You need to learn how to maneuver the system of being an ally, and that's important to me. I need your analysis to be informed. I need your framework to be sound and on a firm foundation, and that's what's important. You can't just say, oh, I went to the drag show and now I'm an ally.
Don't talk about it. Don't talk about it.
I was just gonna say real quick too, just to your point, people who are self-proclaimed allies, it's different when you just decided you were an ally. Nobody told you were an ally. You told yourself you were an ally. You're an ally to communities of color, or you're an ally to trans people. So it's also like, don't just say you're an ally. It's an action.
Yes.
And it's like other folks are saying, leverage your power. If you're an ally, that means you have something I don't have, because you're not part of my community. And so whether it's writing a check, or it's cooking a meal, or having somebody's back, or somewhere to sleep, or whatever it is, that we should be sharing the power that different parts of our communities have, and not just saying that we are. Kind of get credit for it.
Yes. If you're misgendering trans women, you're not an ally. If you're sitting around your friends as they misgender trans women, you are not an ally.
That's a man. You knew that was a man, right?
If you're clocking trans women and spilling their teas, you are not a fucking ally. I'm telling you that now. Okay, and I'm going to call that out and hold you accountable to that. Absolutely. You shading trans women, you're not an ally. You shading trans men, you're not an ally.
Or if you actually, I'm sorry, but if you actually, for allies, and this is just me, when an ally, if you're talking to somebody and then you come and you discuss it, suppose I'm talking to a guy and he didn't get into the tea, and you know this guy, and then you pull me one side, because I've heard this discussion this week, that an ally stepped to the young lady, she's a trans woman, and she said, oh my God, I didn't know that he was gay. Meaning that she was talking to this man, but then she brought this gay kind of conversation to her, like stating indirectly, well girl, you're really a boy. Y'all got that?
Yeah.
You understand? So she really felt, and she called me about it, and I told her, no, drop that ally.
That we are. What ways do people like practice taking care of themselves and taking care of community, knowing that we deal with what we deal with? How
You're looking at me.
I
try to lean back. Lean back.
I can look at somebody else. It's okay.
No, it's okay. You want to ask me the question, it's fine. How do I take care of self? Well, I'm a survivor of domestic violence. I'm learning to get over it because I want to kill the person. I held on to it. There's a few people in here that personally know me, know what I went through with this individual, because I was on the verge of going to jail. They were on the verge of locking me up in a hospital as well. They said, if you don't take this medication, we're going to lock you in this hospital. So, taking care of myself, I'm in therapy, been in therapy for years. It's the support group I'm going to now with the AV Anti-Violence Project called Assert. I'm going there now so I can heal. So I'm not as angry as I was. And I see that other people that have shared the same common ground that I was on with the beatings, and even though he didn't physically beat me, the mental anguish was something that I wouldn't put anybody else through. I would never wish that on anybody else. How I'm taking care of self is giving back to my community, to individuals who are seeking guidance, that are unable to fend for themselves, that the biggest passion I guess I have, or that I feel like I'm doing right now, is doing this work without being paid for it. Even with all my degrees and all my certifications and all my licenses, I'm doing something right now totally free. And
activism is the rent you pay.
Yeah, but ain't nothing to have a little change in your pocket.
Well, money makes the world go round.
You know what I'm saying? It makes it bounce too.
Make it rain on.
And
right, none of this is free.
As they say, it costs money to be this beautiful, dog. It costs money to be this beautiful. In taking care of myself is identifying that I'm special, just like everyone in this room is special in their own unique way, and being as comical and as funny as I am, and making people laugh, and cooking when I do cook, you know, is giving back and making me feel good. And there's nothing wrong in this world with feeling good about yourself, and that's how I think I'm taking self-care.